When we talk about consistency, we often jump straight to routines, habits, alarms, or planners. But none of those tools will work for long if there's no clarity underneath. Clarity is the foundation, is the bedrock of all disciplined action. Without it, people flounder, lose steam, or get caught in cycles of starting and stopping. So many individuals set out on a journey of self-improvement or personal development without ever truly understanding why they're doing what they're doing. They might know what they want on a surface level. Maybe it's a better body, more money, a new job, a healthy relationship, but they haven't peeled back the layers to discover the real reason behind that desire. They lack clarity. And when the path gets hard, and it always does, they fold. Not because they're weak, not because they lack talent, but because they didn't have a clear enough why to stand on it. Clarity is not just knowing what you want. It's about locking in on it with laser-like focus. It's about understanding what that goal means to you, what it will do for your life, and who you become once you achieve it. It's about removing the fog, stripping away vague ideas, and defining your direction in a way that energizes you. Because if you're not emotionally connected to your purpose, you won't stay consistent with the process. When you have true clarity, discipline becomes easier. You're no longer trying to force action. You're pulled by something bigger than comfort. That's why people who achieve extraordinary things often seem obsessed. To the outside world, they look extreme, but internally they are just deeply clear. They are aligned. Their clarity gives them tunnel vision. Distractions don't faze them. They aren't shaken by negative emotions or setbacks in the same way because they've already made up their mind. They've decided who they are and what they're building. It's not a hope, it's a commitment. That's what clarity gives you. The power to stay committed long after the mood you made the decision in has passed. Without clarity, every obstacle feels heavier. Every doubt grows louder. You waste time overthinking, second guessing, and looking sideways at what others are doing. You'll compare your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20, and because you don't have a strong internal compass, you'll be tempted to quit. Or worse, you'll start over again and again, switching directions every time discomfort shows up, confusing yourself even more. That's the cycle. Clarity breaks when you know exactly what you're doing and why. You're not seduced by distractions. You're not running in circles. You're moving in one direction, forward. Clarity also gives meaning to the mundane. Let's be honest. Most of the process isn't exciting. Waking up early, saying no to temptation, working out when you're tired, studying when you'd rather relax. These things aren't always fun, but when you're clear on what they're leading to, they become meaningful. You're not just going through the motions anymore. You're investing. You're building. Every rep, every sacrifice, every moment of silence when you could have reacted emotionally, it all becomes part of something bigger. Clarity transforms effort into purpose. It's not just about big goals either. Clarity helps in the day-to-day. You wake up and you know what needs to be done. You know what your priorities are. You're not aimlessly scrolling or bouncing between tasks. You're intentional. That level of presence and purpose is powerful. It minimizes decision fatigue. It reduces stress. It builds momentum. And momentum is a key ingredient in consistency. One good day flows into the next. One powerful choice leads to another. And before you know it, you become the kind of person who follows through, not because you're superhuman, but because you're clear. Even when negative emotions come up, and they will, clarity acts like an anchor. You might feel anxious, discouraged, overwhelmed, or uncertain, but your clarity reminds you this is part of it. This isn't the end. This is just a moment. And because you know where you're headed, you don't let emotions drive the car. You let vision do the steering. It means you don't obey them blindly. You let them pass through, but your commitment stays firm. That's the real power. Clarity also makes it easier to say no. One of the biggest enemies of consistency is distraction disguised as opportunity. When you're unclear, every shiny thing looks worth chasing. But when you're clear, your path is non-negotiable. If it doesn't align, it's not an option. That kind of focus eliminates the mental clutter that drains your energy and pulls you off track. The reason most people struggle with consistency isn't because they're lazy or incapable. It's because they haven't gotten brutally honest about what they want and why they want it. They've skipped that first step. They haven't sat down uninterrupted and asked the hard questions. What am I here for? What matters most to me? What version of me am I committed to becoming? What pain am I done tolerating? What future am I willing to fight for? Those answers hold the key. Not a new plan and not a better alarm clock, not another self-help book. Clarity is the missing link. It's a silent force behind every consistent person you admire. They didn't just stumble into discipline. They built it on the back of a crystal clear vision. People often confuse motivation with discipline as if the two are interchangeable, but they are not the same, not even close. Motivation is emotional, it's fleeting, it's that high you get when you watch a powerful video, hear an inspiring quote, or imagine yourself living the life you want. Motivation is the spark, but discipline is the fire that keeps burning after the spark fades. And the truth is, no matter how pumped up you feel in the moment, motivation will always wear off. Discipline, on the other hand, is a decision you make regardless of your emotional state. It's what you lean on when motivation walks out the door, and it always walks out eventually. You will not feel like showing up every day. That's not negativity, it's reality. You will not feel like eating healthy when your emotions are running wild. You will not feel like studying when you're stressed, you're tired. You will not feel like getting up early when your bed is warm and comfortable. Waiting to feel ready is a trap. Most people spend their life waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect mood, the perfect burst of motivation, and it never comes. What separates the people who move forward from those who stay stuck is the ability to take action without waiting to feel like it. Discipline is a mental contract you sign with yourself. It's not sexy, it's not loud, it doesn't announce itself. It just shows up quietly every day and does what needs to be done. It's waking up at 5 a.m. when your body screams no. It's saying no to short-term pleasure because you made a long-term commitment. It's going to the gym when your mind gives you every excuse not to. It's choosing growth over comfort again and again and again. Now here's what most people don't want to hear. Discipline doesn't come naturally. No one is born with it. You build it, and you build it through resistance. Think about it like a muscle. The more you train it, the stronger it becomes. And just like muscles, discipline grows through tension, through struggle, through choosing what's hard over what's easy. Every time you push through discomfort, every time you ignore your feelings and do what you said you would do, you strengthen the part of you that leads. And the more you lead yourself, the less you'll rely on motivation to move forward. Discipline doesn't mean you'll never feel lazy or doubtful or overwhelmed. It means you don't let those feelings dictate your behavior. You acknowledge them, sure, but you don't obey them. You don't make them your compass. Discipline is acting in alignment with your goals, even when everything in you wants to run in the other direction. It's honoring your word to yourself. It's proving again and again that you are bigger than your excuse. Let's be real. Life will not hand you the perfect circumstances to do what you need to do. You will have stressful days. You will have moments of chaos. You will be tired. You will be frustrated. And the world will offer you every excuse to lower your standards. But that's exactly where discipline kicks in. It's in those moments when you say, I don't care how I feel. I care what I've committed to. That's the moment you take your power back. That's when you become unshakable. People ask, how do I become more disciplined? The answer is simple but not easy. Stop negotiating with yourself. Stop making your goals optional. Stop giving yourself the luxury of excuses. Create a standard and then live by it, no matter what. Discipline is a matter of identity. You don't just do disciplined things, you become a disciplined person. You embody it. You internalize it. It's who you are, not just what you do when you're in the mood. And here's something else. Discipline brings freedom. It might sound contradictory, but it's true. When you discipline yourself to wake up early, your day feels more in control. When you discipline yourself to eat right, you feel more energy and confidence. When you discipline yourself to say no to distractions, you gain back time. Discipline might feel rigid in the moment, but over time it creates space for you to grow, space to succeed, space to live intentionally instead of reactively. There will be days when your mind plays tricks on you. It will whisper lies. You worked hard enough. You can skip just this once. You'll start again tomorrow. That voice will always be there. But discipline is the part of you that responds, no. We said we'd do this, so we're doing it. That's how you silence that voice, not with words, but with action. You don't rise to the level of your motivation. You fall to the level of your systems. And discipline is the system that catches you when everything else falls apart. If you build your life around feelings, you'll be a slave to them. But if you build your life around discipline, you'll rise above them. Because discipline doesn't care about your mood. It doesn't care if the sun's out or if it's raining. It doesn't ask how you feel. It asks what you said you would do. Negative feelings are a part of the human experience, but the mistake most people make is treating them like facts. Feelings are not truth. They are not reality. They are temporary states influenced by 1,000 different things. Your sleep, your nutrition, your stress levels, your past, your thoughts, your environment. But what most people do is allow these feelings to define their actions, their identity, and ultimately their destiny. You feel unmotivated, so you stop working. You feel anxious, so you avoid doing the hard thing. You feel overwhelmed, so you quit before even trying. That's how dreams die. Not from failure, but from the false belief that how you feel is more powerful than what you decide. You are not your feelings. You are the one who observes them. You are not your sadness, your fear, your doubt, or your frustration. You are the thinker behind the thoughts. And once you recognize that, you begin to separate yourself from the emotional waves that come and go. Because that's all they are, waves. They rise, they crash, and then they pass. But if you attach to them, if you build your behavior and identity around them, you end up being tossed around, constantly reacting, constantly pulled off course. The problem isn't a negative feeling, it's a story you attach to them. You feel fear, you say, this must mean I'm not ready. You feel resistance and you say, maybe I'm not meant to do this. You feel insecure and you say, I'm not good enough. That story, not the feeling itself, is what holds you back. Because emotions don't have the power to stop you until you give them meaning. The moment you decide a bad mood means you should quit, you give that mood control over your life. But here's the truth. You can feel something and still move. You can feel fear and still show up. You can feel insecure and still take action. You don't have to wait for the feelings to change. You have to act in spite of them. That's how they lose their grip on you. Most people are sitting around waiting to feel confident, certain, and ready before they move. That day rarely comes. The real shift happens when you learn to act regardless of how you feel. That's emotional maturity. That's personal power. You're not controlled by the internal weather. You become the one steering the ship, no matter the storm. There will always be days when your emotions are heavy, when everything feels like too much, when self-doubt creeps in like a shadow. But those days are not signs to stop. They are opportunities to lead yourself. Because if you only show up when it's easy, you'll never build the consistency that leads to growth. And if you only take action when your emotions give you permission, your life will be dictated by chaos. What you need to build is emotional discipline, the ability to feel without folding, the ability to recognize a negative emotion and say, I see you. but you don't get to decide what I do next. That's the difference between people who stay stuck and those who ride. It's not that successful people don't feel fear or doubt or discouragement. They just don't let those feelings lead the way. They experience them like passing weather. They acknowledge them, but they don't become them. They choose action anyway. They've learned to stand in discomfort without retreating. That's strength. That's inner leadership. It's also important to understand that feelings are often tied to patterns, old conditioning, past experiences, limiting beliefs. Maybe you grew up around people who doubted you, so now every challenge triggers that same emotional response. Maybe you failed in the past, so now your brain tries to protect you by flooding you with fear every time you step outside your comfort zone. These emotional reactions are not reflections of your present reality. They're echoes from the past. And if you don't challenge them, they'll keep running the show. Most people give up before the new identity can take hold. They start strong, but when it doesn't feel natural after a week or two, they say, maybe I'm just not like that. But that's not how the mind works. Your subconscious clings to familiarity. It resists change because it thinks it's protecting you. It equates different with danger. The only way to convince it otherwise is through exposure. Again and again and again. You don't tell it once. You tell it daily. You live it. You breathe it until it becomes familiar, until it becomes safe, until it becomes you. You also have to remember that your subconscious doesn't respond to logic, it responds to emotion. That's why emotional repetition is so powerful. When you say, I am consistent with full belief, with fire in your chest, your subconscious listens more closely. It imprints more deeply. That's why you have to visualize. That's why you have to feel the feelings of your future reality as if they're happening now. Because when your mind feels it emotionally, it starts to accept it as real. The repetition is how you train your mind to serve you instead of sabotage you. It's how you drown out the old programming and install new commands. You don't do it once, you do it relentlessly. You do it until the voice of doubt is replaced by the voice of certainty. Until your new beliefs don't feel like effort, they feel like home. Most people don't fail because they don't have talent, drive, or potential. They fail because they isolate themselves during the climb. They try to do everything alone, relying only on willpower, shutting out the world and thinking they have to carry the entire weight of change by themselves. But the truth is, environment is stronger than willpower. The people you surround yourself with, the voices you listen to, the energy you absorb, those things shape you more than you realize. You might have the best intentions, the clearest goals, the strongest work ethic, but if your environment is constantly pulling you in the opposite direction, eventually it will wear you down. Because it's hard to stay consistent when you're surrounded by people who don't value consistency. If everyone around you lives by excuses, eventually you'll start lowering your standards just to fit in. If your conversations are filled with complaints, negativity, and small thinking, it's only a matter of time before your mindset starts to shrink too. You're not immune to influence. No one is. The subconscious mind is always listening, always soaking in signals from your surroundings, and those signals either reinforce your vision or sabotage it. That's why community matters. That's why you need people in your corner who are not just cheerleaders, but mirrors. People who reflect back your highest self, not your fears. A strong community doesn't let you settle. They don't let you hide. They call you out when you slack and call you up to your potential. They don't feed your excuses, they challenge them. They don't let you forget your standards. That kind of accountability is a gift. It's not about judgment, it's about alignment. When you're surrounded by people who are also committed to growth, to discipline, to becoming better, it becomes easy to stay the course. Their energy elevates yours. Their discipline reminds you of yours. Their consistency becomes contagious. But this kind of community doesn't happen by accident. You have to be intentional. You have to seek it out. You have to decide what kind of voices you want in your life and then make room for them. That might mean letting go of relationships that keep you stuck. That might mean stepping away from environments that drain you. That might mean saying no to comfort in favor of growth. It's not easy, but it's necessary. You can't plant new seeds in toxic soil and expect them to grow. Even if you don't have a circle of people around you who get it right now, you can still build one. Books, podcasts, videos, mentors from afar, these are powerful tools. Fill your mental environment with voices that challenge you, that believe in you, that speak life into your vision. Saturate your world with inspiration, not just occasionally, but daily. Don't underestimate the power of consistent input. What you consume becomes what you think, and what you think becomes what you believe. Community also creates resilience. When you're in isolation, every setback feels personal. Every failure feels like proof that you're not cut out for this. But when you're part of a group, when you see others going through similar struggles and still pushing forward, it reminds you that you're not alone, that this is normal, that growth is messy, that setbacks are part of the process, not the end of it. That perspective can be the difference between quitting and continuing. There's also something powerful about being seen. When you're doing everything alone, it's easy to hide. No one knows if you're slipping. No one notices if you skip a day. But when you're part of a community, there's a sense of responsibility, not out of pressure, but out of purpose. You start to realize that your consistency isn't just about you. It's about the example you set. It's about the energy you contribute. It's about who you become for others. And that added layer of purpose fuels you in ways willpower never could. At the same time, being in community requires vulnerability. You have to be willing to admit when you're struggling. You have to be open to feedback. You have to drop the mask of perfection and let people see the real work in progress version of you. That's not weakness. That's courage. And the more honest you are, the more support you invite. Because the right people won't judge your struggle. They'll remind you of your strength. They'll hold space for your evolution. They'll believe in your vision, even when your own belief wavers. And this isn't just about receiving, it's also about giving. When you show up for others, when you pour into their growth, when you encourage, challenge, and uplift them, you reinforce your own growth. Teaching sharpens learning. Accountability works both ways. You become more consistent when you help others stay consistent. It deepens your commitment. It raises your standards. It reminds you of why you started in the first place. Your environment is not neutral. It's either building you or breaking you. That's why you have to protect your space, like your life depends on it, because in a way it does. The version of you you're trying to build, the future you're trying to create. It's all shaped, influenced, and either supported or sabotaged by what you allow around you. You can do hard things, you can be disciplined, you can be consistent, but you don't have to do it alone. In fact, you're not supposed to.